Alrighty, hello, my lovely Sagittarians. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to be doing your weekly reading here for February 12th through the 25th. And we already have a couple cards coming out here. So I'm going to start pulling our cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That way we can get started for your week. We are doing we're doing readings for 2 weeks at a time instead of 1 week at a time, just so that I have extra time to do some other projects that I really want to be doing. So let's finish pulling your cards here, Sagittarius, and then we will get started. Wow. Okay, so Sagittarius, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major arcana cards in your reading for this. So there are some big changes going on here for you, Sagittarius. I do feel like a lot of this is mostly positive overall. I feel like even if things are kind of difficult or trying, you have a good attitude about it from just the initial reaction to your cards here. Let's go ahead and get started with Monday the 12th, Sagittarius. You have the Magician. So this is a person, this is someone who is alchemizing, changing the energy of one thing into something new. So this is a person who has, an idea and they're able to make it come to life. The Magician is a person who can take the energy of one thing and alchemize it or turn it into something else. So if you're working through anger or frustration, this is a person who takes their energy and instead of focusing on their anger and frustration, they turn it into the motivation for getting something done, right? Taking your anger and turning it from a negative force that holds you back and turning it into a form of motivation that propels you forward. So that's kind of the energy of the Magician. So Sagittarius here, you are doing something different, you're changing something, you are alchemizing, as I said, changing something into something else in order to build this momentum forward. Tuesday here you have the 8 of Cups. So this is, contemplative energy. So you are, when we are doing something new, when we're changing something, doing something different, or, as we said, changing the energy of one thing into something else, we have to take a step back and think about things for a minute. And so this is kind of that contemplative energy of, I feel like this is almost a little bit of you thinking or waiting to see the result of this change, waiting to see the result of the thing that you've been doing that's been moving differently, right? The 8 of Cups is also walking away from things that are no longer serving us. So this could be as a result or, a motivation behind why you are making this change is because maybe you realized your anger is not serving you the way that you've been doing it. And so you're moving away from your anger not serving you in this way. And, in the case of my example, I said choosing to use it to propel you forward instead of hold you back. So you can kind of look at the Magician as like the inspiration to make this change, and the 8 of Cups as the actual contemplative process of figuring out the steps to make this change, to move forward, figuring out what you need to keep and what you need to get rid of. Wednesday here, this is actually Valentine's Day, and you have the Death card in reverse. So I feel like this isn't, this isn't saying that you'll have something bad happen on Valentine's Day, right? I was just saying it's Valentine's Day as like just a reminder that that's what this day is on the 14th. So with this Death card though, I feel like one of the things that you need to change or something that you have, it's come into your mind that you need to make this change or to get rid of or, as we said, alchemize, change the properties of this thing, this energy, turn it into something else. The Death card in reverse tells me that maybe you're experiencing a little bit of resistance. So You know, in the case of the example I was saying about your anger, you can do this with all sorts of other energy, though. You can do it with your depression, you can do it with anger, you can do it with guilt or greed, you know, all these other things. The Death card in reverse is kind of this resistance to this change. Not quite wanting to let it go, maybe because it has, you know, once served you in some way, right? You know, we say that our anger serves us by, you know, it lets us know things, but it doesn't serve us when we react in anger and receive, you know, negative consequences from it, right? So, you know, understanding that things serve you in different ways and not being attached to it too much. Try to, you know, especially with that Eight of Cups, rethink your attachment to this thing, and that is going to help you kind of move through this energy of letting this thing go with this Death card in reverse. Then we move on to the Five of Pentacles in reverse for your Thursday energy. And I actually feel like even though this card is in the reverse, I feel like this is actually a positive direction for you. Because the Five of Cards, the Five of Pentacles in the upright is an energy of, you know, being stuck in lack mentality, being stuck and worried about, you know, the things that we don't have. And this card in the reverse is actually the other side of that energy. It's actually understanding that, yes, we may feel down in the dumps at this time. We may feel like we don't have these things. But instead of focusing on the things that we don't have, it's shifting your perspective to, okay, let's take stock of the things that we do have and make a plan with what we have available. So, you know, as I said, I feel like that is a positive energy change for you here, Sagittarius, that you are taking a look at the things that you do have available. Like, okay, maybe I'm not quite ready to let this thing go, but what can I do in the meantime to kind of get me closer to that direction? You know, maybe I'm not quite ready to, you know, 100% get rid of this thing, but maybe I can just kind of do these little baby steps right now with what I do have to get to this point. So, you know, as I said, I still see it as like a positive thing for you, a positive, you know, challenge or movement in the direction. Friday here you have the Eight of Wands in reverse, and this is a slowing down of energy. In the upright, this card is, you know, fast momentum. It's things coming in really, really fast. And you do see fast momentum on the following week on Tuesday with the Chariot card. So with this card showing up, you know, the Friday before, I feel like this is you taking a step back, slowing things down a little bit, maybe because you do feel this Chariot energy getting ready to come in. So this is kind of like sensing the storm on the horizon and choosing to make preparations for it. So you're slowing things down, Sagittarius, specifically because you know you need to conserve your energy at this time before you know, get further into this thing. And it can also kind of mean that you might almost feel like you've been stalled a little bit, like your momentum might have been stalled. So, you know, you're building this work, trying to, you know, change this energy for yourself to do things differently. And so you may feel like things aren't moving as fast as you want them to. It kind of can sometimes feel like that, you know, stalling energy. But it's not something that happens forever. As I was saying, on Tuesday you have the Chariot card here, and that is fast forward momentum. So, you know, don't let yourself be discouraged that things are taking a little bit longer than usual. You know, try to keep an open mind and understand that things move at their own pace. And we can't always just be pushing go, 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 fast, fast, fast all the time. We need to take time to kind of slow down. On Saturday here, Sagittarius, the next day you have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. And this is taking stock of the things that you are balancing. So, you know, your work and home life balance, the harmony of, you know, not just work and home, but work and play. You know, this can even be like the balancing of the many hats that we wear in our life, you know, daughter, coworker, boss, you know, things like that. And so the Six of Pentacles in reverse is you may be experiencing a little bit of a struggle of balancing and harmonizing between these things. Yeah, I just feel like, you know, you're kind of in this space where you're you're having a hard time finding a good balance between these things. And this could even be the root of what your motivation is behind this change that you're trying to make. Maybe you have recognized here in some way that things are unbalanced. And so your motivation behind trying to make this change, trying to, do things a little bit differently, is because you've recognized that things are a little bit unbalanced here. Sunday, on week 1, you have the Knight of Cups. So this is a positive thing coming in for you. Sometimes this card to me is... let's talk about this real quick. Sometimes this card, when you look at it, it can seem like a positive, new love interest or something coming in for you. It's more than just love, though. Sometimes it's not just a partner. It's like thinking that a new job opportunity is going to bring you happiness. It's seeing this kind of, almost this enticing thing, like a siren call almost. Like something is calling you out and it promises you all these pretty things. That's kind of trying to lull you into a sense of security so that you let your guard down, and then you're, drowned in the ocean by a mermaid, right? That's kind of the energy of the Knight of Cups here. This is a person or a thing coming in for you, making promises that maybe they can't quite keep. And it does seem very enticing. It seems like this person or this thing has the answer that you've been looking for, or the thing that you've been waiting for. Sometimes it's actually true. Sometimes this person does have this thing, but I would caution you to, maybe make sure that you're questioning this and that you're not just accepting it at face value, that you're actually, doing the work to vet this. And, since we are talking about doing and making these changes for yourself, making these changes within yourself about the way, about the way that you have been approaching things, this almost to me seems like an enticing thing that kind of promises the easy way out. So Sagittarius, don't take the easy way out of doing this work, doing this process of fixing things, changing things for yourself. Don't allow it to lull you into a false sense of security. Let's talk about week 2. Week 2, on Monday, you have the Two of Swords. This is two opposing energies. The immovable object meeting the unstoppable force, right? Which one is going to give first? We don't know. They're putting in equal pressure in opposite directions, and because of that, there's no forward momentum and no movement. This is when you see this picture, it's two swords locked, right? So it's two opposing energies putting in the same pressure, and so neither one of them is winning over the other. Now, I feel like these two swords represent those two opposing energies that you're trying to alchemize between. So, anger and acceptance, guilt and acceptance, hate and love, that sort of thing. This is the two opposing energies of the things that you're trying to alchemize between. So you may find yourself in a place where you are, between these two. You have both energies present at the same time, and you are kind of in this place of like, well, I recognize that this other energy is maybe better for me and a better choice, but still kind of having your foot stuck in the old way that you've been doing things, and you can't really see I feel like what this is something happens on Monday where you're being challenged to do the new thing, but you've told yourself you want to do the new thing. You've told yourself you want to do this new energy, or maybe, do something different. But the new way challenges you, and the old way seems more enticing because it seems easier. But I'm getting this thing that oh gosh, how do I say this? How do I vocalize this? I almost feel like the new way might require something of you that you are not quite ready to give. So, for example, right, the new way may expect you to swallow your pride a little bit, or it may be asking you to do something that you are not quite ready to do, that the old way does not ask of you. The old way does not ask you to swallow your pride or to, take a hit for the sake of somebody else, right? And so the old way seems a little bit more enticing, even though a part of you intellectually knows that the old way is not working for you and you want to do the new way. You want to make a new change. Yeah, Sagittarius, that's what's going on. Sorry, I know that that's so weird. So maybe in your specific situation, it may not necessarily be pieces of shame or, things like that, taking a hit for somebody else. But I feel like that's, the example of the energy that's happening here. So obviously everybody's individual case will be a little bit different. Tuesday of week 2, Sagittarius, you have the Chariot. Here is that fast forward momentum. So from Monday, whatever direction or decision you do go in takes you someplace, and it takes you there very fast. So whether or not you choose to move forward with the way that you have been trying to move towards, or whether you stay in the old energy and go in that direction, regardless of which path you take, both of them are going to shoot you in a trajectory very, very fast, very quickly in the way that you chose. So be careful which one you choose, because there may be some unintended consequences. You may find yourself, as I said, fast forwarded very quickly in a direction that maybe you weren't quite ready to go in. If you choose the old way, you may see some unintended consequences pushing you in a way further direction, way, way off from where you actually wanted to be. And if you do choose the new path, you choose the new energy, you're going to find very, very fast growth, and you're going to find less resistance towards getting there. So, take it with caution. Be careful that you're not, be careful, because whichever way you do choose, you are going to see fast momentum in either direction. Let's talk about this card here on Wednesday. You have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So, if you do take the old way, I feel like there's this duality here. If you take the old way, you're going to, as I said, find some unintended consequences. The Wheel of Fortune is like the energy of karma here, right? So it's the good coming back to you, the bad coming back to you if you've been putting out bad. It's things changing. It's the balancing of, as I said, karma. The wheel is always turning. So when we are in a place where we feel down on our luck, eventually the wheel turns and we find ourselves in a place of good luck and abundance and things happening. And on the flip side, if things have been going really, really good, we may all of a sudden find ourselves being challenged. And so, the Wheel of Fortune being in reverse, regardless of what direction this card shows up in, it is a change of things. And so I would just, as I said, be very cautious, because this Wheel of Fortune, your karma is... Karma's not just getting back what you give exactly. Every action that we take, whether good, bad, positive, negative, has karma, right? Unintended consequences, because every action that you take, think of it as like a drop of water on a lake. You see the ripples start to expand out, and these ripples expand out and multiply and become bigger and bigger and bigger faster than, we think they might. And so our ripples here are affecting other people's ripples from their other decisions. So when they meet, they kind of, can bounce off of each other or combine or, all these other different things, right? So karma is kind of these outward ripples. Once we make this action or do this thing, the ripples come out, and it's out there in the universe, and it's too late. We can't take it back. It's going to keep expanding. And that's kind of where karma comes from. If the energy that you're putting out into the universe is good, that energy is going to expand and ripple out, and you're going to see good because that is what you're putting out. If you put out negative things, that is also going to expand out and become bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to reach this point of like, holy crap, like all my stuff is going wrong and all these bad things keep happening to me because you're putting out bad, right? So that is what the Wheel of Fortune is. And you can even see, like, this literally looks like the ripples expanding out from this drop of water in the water, right? So just think about that. Be aware that whatever decision you make, whatever direction you go, it's going to come really fast, and there is going to be karmic response associated with it. So be very careful. Be very cautious. Don't be careful with what you're doing, because if you give out bad, karma will be here and bring it back, right? So, okay, let's talk about your next card here. On Thursday, you have the Ace of Cups in reverse. So, we're talking about more water energy. We're talking about emotions, love, things that fill up your cup, things that make you feel content and full and happy. And you know, cups are about love sometimes too, sometimes new love, new relationships. And this Ace of Cups is actually the cup that the Knight of Cups holds. So, and you know, we were also talking about water too with that Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, just be careful what you are filling up your cup with. Be careful what you are putting out energy-wise and the energy that you're getting back. And don't, I would say with this card, I'm feeling like you need to be careful about the, don't be giving things out with the expectation of receiving it. Be careful about your motivations behind the things that you're doing. If you are giving things out with the expectation of receiving, or you're giving things out with the expectation of, you know, with an expectation in general, if you're giving things out with an expectation, be careful about your motivation for it. You should be giving from a place of just love and abundance and caring for people, and not necessarily being tied to the destination, tied to the, what's the word? Tied to the outcome. Don't be focused so much on the outcome of giving. Be focused more on what it does for you emotionally, what it does for your heart and your soul. And the Ace of Cups, you know, sometimes when we make these choices to do things different and do good, it doesn't always bring us the emotional fulfillment that we were expecting. I feel like that's what it is that the Ace, you know, is a new beginning. It's a new direction or path for yourself. So you may, if you did make the path to move in a new direction, you may not necessarily find yourself being as emotionally rewarded for it as you thought. You put out this good energy and you maybe expected, you know, a thank you or some fanfare or, you know, gratitude from this person or this other thing, and that's not always what we're going to get from it. You know, make sure you're doing things with the proper motivations, and that's just what I'm feeling with that Ace of Cups there. You know, take care of your motivations, be cautious about it, and, you know, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Now, let's talk about these next two cards because they are very closely related. They're another two major arcana cards. You have the Hermit on Friday and then the Judgment card for Saturday. So when you look at these cards, right, they're similar because they both have mirrors, right? The Hermit card is about taking a look deep within, reflecting on your inner self. And then the Judgment card is about the outward reflections and projections. This is about choosing to wake up to living a new life, living a new reality, and doing things differently. So this is the outward projection of our inner work, right? So the Hermit is, it's also like self-imposed isolation, right? So taking time out to go on an inward journey to examine things within yourself. So, especially after this Ace of Cups, I feel like this Ace of Cups carries like a sense of disappointment with it. And it requires you to take a look within about, okay, well, you know, I maybe didn't get the emotional fanfare that I was hoping for from doing this positive thing. You know, I didn't get my good person trophy, right? I didn't get my good person reward. And so now you have to actually go within and think about, well, you know, am I still a good person if I expect a reward for doing the good thing? And the answer is like, you know, you're a good person regardless. You're a good person, but, you know, re-examining your motivations behind it. You know, are you wanting to try to be a good person because it's the right thing to do? Or are you wanting to be a good person because you want the recognition of being a good person? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because that's kind of what I'm getting, is that you got to re-examine your motivations behind why you are doing this thing. And it requires you looking deep within at the way that you've been doing things and the why behind it. And then again, as we said, Judgment on Saturday. This is the outward reflection of your inner work that you've been doing. Waking up to the new reality. Judgment is literally like the judgment day, right? It's waking up from the past and, you know, choosing to move into a new life. It's, you know, people rising from their graves. So they're coming from death into new life, you know, in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot. So, Judgment. It's the meeting of the two worlds of, you know, life and death, and choosing to move into a new one and awakening to, you know, your purpose or new things. And so Judgment, I feel like, is you, Sagittarius, getting that, I guess coming to that realization of like, hey, you know, even if I didn't receive the feedback that I wanted, choosing to do good things makes me a good person, and I don't need the outward recognition for these things, because I know inside that I am a good person regardless, that, you know, I have value regardless. And so when you have that inner work, when you have the inner work done, when you've done the inner work on that, it reflects outward from you, and, you know, it expands itself. So when you're doing things from proper motivations, people pick up on those vibes, right? People can see really easily, you know, this person, if this person acts good, are they a good person inside? Sometimes people act good, you know, because they are not good inside, you know, and people can pick up on that, on the inner person. So when you are a good person inside, when you recognize that you're a good person with worth and value inside, it reflects outward from you in a bigger way. Let's talk about Sunday. Your last card here is the 8 of Pentacles in reverse. So this, after all of this big work for you, this, for some of you, is going to be taking a step back from working so hard. But I feel like for most of you, this is recognizing that perfection is not everything. The 8 of Pentacles, you see this person, they're working on some art. They're working on their art. They're perfecting their craft, right? An artist doesn't get good at art overnight. It is something that requires a lot of practice. And art is never really something that is complete, right? There's always little things about ourselves or about other things or people that we feel like we need to change or tweak, or maybe we need to do this here and there. And so I feel like this is you, Sagittarius, realizing that like you're never going to be a 100% perfect person. You're never going to reach this, you know, ideal good person that you want to be. You're never going to reach that line, because we're humans. We're all imperfect, and there's nothing wrong with imperfection. You know, perfection is this it's this impossible goal line for ourselves to reach, and we're never going to reach it. And so understanding, you know, that I can create beautiful things, I can be a beautiful person inside and out, even with some quote unquote imperfections, and understanding that, you know, the work is never really done. We're never really perfect. And that's what I feel like this is, Sagittarius. This is you reaching this point of like, hey, I don't have to be a perfect person, and I can still be a beautiful masterpiece. I can still be a beautiful manifestation of myself, of this person, right? So, Sagittarius, that is basically that's a really That's a really intense 2 weeks here. This is a lot of personal growth, experience, and learning, and gosh, there's a word that I have like on the tip of my tongue. Self-realization. Like you go into it with this idea of I'm going to change and do this crazy thing to like be good, and then you get to it and you realize at the end of this journey after a couple weeks, like, oh hey, I don't have to be perfect and I can still do good things. You know, I can still do good things because it's the right thing to do and not because I want to reach this impossible ideal of, you know, perfection. So, yeah, Sagittarius, anyway, thank you for being here today. I hope this reading was helpful for you. I hope you were able to get some sort of value, some sort of, you know, answers or something from this reading. So, anyway, again, thank you for being here today, Sagittarius, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.